All right, it's Super Bowl week and the buzz is starting to heat up, but the NFL offseason and draft buzz is in full flame right now after the Washington Commanders announced they have hired former Arizona Cardinals head coach Kliff Kingsbury as their offensive coordinator, and a certain projected number one overall draft pick, Mr. Caleb Williams himself, giving a shout out to his former head coach, setting ablaze the rumor mill. Everyone's kind of freaking out. The Commanders hold the second overall pick, and the perception is that Caleb Williams and his camp are less than hot about going to Chicago, who holds the first overall pick. It's a really interesting story I think it's getting into. Could we see Washington move up? Could we see Caleb potentially say, don't draft me, Chicago. I want to play in DC. I think there's a lot of layers to this story. There's a lot going on, but let's just dive into it. First and foremost, I think this is an awesome hire by the Commanders. Kliff Kingsbury is kind of the quarterback whisperer, kind of the quarterback guru, if you don't know. He's had a lot of success tied to a lot of great quarterbacks. Started out as offensive coordinator at A&M with Johnny Manziel. He then becomes the head coach at Texas Tech, has the guy likes of Baker, and how about a man named Patrick Mahomes, has those guys. Then he heads to Arizona, drafts Kyler Murray with the number one overall pick, and has some success in Arizona. He was 28-37-1 in his 4 years there. They did make the playoffs in 2021, finished 11-6, but got bounced in the first round. But the thing with Kingsbury is like his teams always started off really hot at the beginning of the season, then they kind of fell off at the end. Not a big adjustment guy, maybe not necessarily a great head coach guy. He then was pretty awful last year in Arizona. Kyler was hurt. He gets fired. He spends this past season at USC as an offensive analyst with Lincoln Riley and, of course, Mr. Caleb Williams, the projected number one overall pick. Like I said, NFL scouts, everyone out there talking generational type quarterback talent. Nobody really wants to pass on this guy. He seems like the next Patrick Mahomes. Now, obviously, there's some questions out there, and it doesn't mean it's a guarantee. Guys bust all the time. It's a 50% bust rate. But people really loving Caleb Williams, and he had a really nice season. He wasn't as good as he was in his Heisman year, but he upped his completion percentage, his yards per attempt, his passer rating, all up this season with Kingsbury on the staff. But obviously, the Instagram post that sparked the blaze saying congrats to his dog, Kingsbury, in the nice edit with the Commanders pull up. I don't know if that's a good looking. I don't like the full zip, man. I don't know, Kliff, but giving a shout out to his guy. And of course, everyone's reacting to this. And why wouldn't they? Washington holds the second overall pick. They have $73 million in cap space for this offseason. I expect Washington to be able to completely rebuild this team very quickly. And let's be honest, there's been some reports that Caleb and his camp are very lukewarm on the Bears. And why wouldn't you be? The Bears have been an atrocious offensive franchise. They've never had a 4,000-yard passer. Like, Jay Cutler's your best quarterback in franchise history, and he was mediocre. I mean, cool. So this is a guy that could completely flip the script on what the Bears' history has as far as the quarterback position, but maybe he doesn't want to go. Eberflus is already on the hot seat. We see him. If they start out slow, he's getting fired. Now you're on coach 2 within a year. I mean, it's just not an ideal situation. But Caleb and his camp have been releasing some stuff, talking to Colin Cowherd, saying, no, we're okay. We just want to go number one. We're okay with Chicago. I don't totally buy it. I don't think enough people are talking about Caleb grew up in Washington, D.C., played high school football there. That's home for him. DC is his home. Why wouldn't you want to come back home? Because people are bashing the Commanders like they've been a dumpster fire, but they got new ownership now. Great ownership, I would say. Josh Harris's group, he owns the Sixers. He owns the New Jersey Devils, two non-dysfunctional franchises, both competent, both competitive. I think this is a new face for the Washington Commanders. Overall, I love the head coach hire. I shouldn't say love. I really, really like the head coach hire of Dan Quinn. It's a guy who's stable. They need some stability. Dan Quinn has had a lot of success in this league. I mean, he went to a Super Bowl. He knows how to hire offensive coaches. Kyle Shanahan was his offensive coordinator. Now, is Kliff Kingsbury Kyle Shanahan? I don't think so, but he has a real knack of identifying coaching talent, bringing guys together, allowing his staff to lead and have him be just the overarching head guy. So I think it's a really good fit for him in Washington. Like I said, they can completely retool this team. The offensive line needs an upgrade. You have good wide receivers. I'm a big Scary Terry fan. You have good running backs. You just got to figure out the quarterback position. And with the number 2 overall pick, it's not that expensive to go up and get Caleb Williams. Now, maybe Chicago wants to hold that pick ransom, but do you really want to hold that pick ransom if Caleb actually is less than enthusiastic about playing for you? I don't want a guy who's not all in with my franchise. We've seen situations like this before. Eli Manning, the most recent one that comes to mind, and it really worked out for the Giants. They traded up, they got Eli, they got 2 rings. Now, Charger fans will say, hey, Phillip Rivers was great. They got nada, they got nothing. So it didn't really work out for them all in all. So I would be very interested to see if Washington's willing to pay. Maybe it's 1 extra first-round pick to slide up 1 spot. The Bears are collecting picks. You draft Drake May with the 2nd pick. You have another first-round pick, and you completely retool this team because the Bears really weren't that talented. They seem to have done a decent job. They finished really strong down the stretch, or at least relatively strong. Justin Fields, you're going to get another 4th to 3rd round pick for. He's clearly not going to be the future. I mean, if they want to keep Justin Fields, I'm all for it. I'm not a Chicago Bears fan. I hope that they suck, so I'm okay for them keeping Justin Fields, but I think the right move here is to weigh their options, really see if they can get Washington to bite and go move up and get that pick. And like I said, Kliff Kingsbury has a really good history with young quarterbacks, with explosive young quarterbacks. He's not going to have to worry about the defense. I think this would be a great fit for Washington. Maybe have a guy that he's comfortable with being at home, because Caleb Williams does have some question marks, and most of it is kind of the emotional stuff. He cares a lot, the crying on the sideline. Some people don't like that. Is he fully engaged? There's a lot of question marks, but I think being at home, being with a guy he's comfortable with in Kliff Kingsbury should be good. And I think Washington could turn around and be a competent team next year. Now, they're not going to be a 10-win team. They're not going to be worst to first like the Texans, but this could be a 7-8 win team next year in a division that feels like it's kind of going through a transitional period. We don't know what we're going to get from the Giants or the Eagles or really even the Cowboys at this point. Better teams, I think, but really a big question mark. I think this would be a home run move if Washington can move up, but let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Are there legs to these rumors? Do you think Washington could go get Caleb Williams? Should Chicago draft him even though he's not super high on them? Or should they try and trade the pick, draft a Drake May? Or do you think they should keep Justin Fields? Let me know what you guys think. If you haven't already, click that like button, subscribe to the channel. We got new sports content every single day. If you want to support the channel more, click that join button, sign up for a channel membership. You get access to exclusive videos, early access to videos, badges, emojis, things to use in the live streams throughout the year. Really helps support me, allows me to keep making this great content for you guys every single day. Again, like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you all tomorrow.